Oh, hello there, yes. Well, good grief. Nothing was stirring, not even a pussycat. Well, a little bit. He gets up occasionally, a bit like I've been doing for the last 24 hours. Just have something to eat and then, to hell with it. Tired. Getting into that, God, I'm not at work mode. Anyway, leaving all that aside, today's chat, not particularly far side, but anyway, is to do with, problematic narratives and certain people driving certain cars, driving into certain crowds in certain places in America has certainly proved to be that, because yesterday we had sort of ongoing developments. The initial, of course, response is, well, that's exactly what happens when you allow brown people in, isn't it? And all the usual suspects were indeed saying that. And then they gradually moved to, as more details came out, to saying, well, isn't it disgusting? You can't even trust doctors these days, isn't it dreadful? But, of course, as yet more details came out, it became slightly more problematic for our glorious friends, the right-wing grifterdoms that they have, because suddenly their very, very nice, simple, white people are good and brown people are bad narrative began to fall apart. Sorry, they don't have that as a narrative, do they? It'll be racist. Anyway, good people that are Christians, even though lots of them aren't actually Christians, they can just pretend to be, are better than bad, evil people that are Muslims. I mean, they're both equally valid as human beings, but they are not at the same time. That's it, isn't it? I think I've got that right, yes. Wouldn't want to be racist about it. But of course, as more and more details have come out, we've discovered that this bloke in fact followed loads and loads and loads of those very decent Christians like Tommy Robinson. And indeed Tommy Robinson followed him. Oh dear, problematic. So one of our right-wing grifters managed to do yesterday was convince themselves that actually the bloke was something that would fit into their narrative. So I think as of writing, the latest thing is that he really is a left-winger. Probably turn out that it's a false flag by Antifa. The problem for all of these people, of course, well, the second problem for all of these people, we'll come to the major first problem, but the second problem for all of these people, of course, is that he was arrested and taken alive. So undoubtedly at the trial some very, 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 very interesting things will come out about him, not the least of which will be his support for, well, an awful lot of right-wing things. Now, the problem, obviously, for these grifters is how do you paint somebody that holds views like that as a complete nutter, a lone wolf? Good grief, you can't possibly expect listening and reading this rhetoric to believe that people should be hurt. No, of course not. Of course you can't. Except, of course, historically, that is often what happens. So what will happen in the very near future, by round about Easter next year, is the entire thing will be very, very much memory hold. You may remember a certain Norwegian guy who was heavily influenced by a whole bunch of people of right-wing grifters, not the least of which was, for example, Ben Shapiro. Nothing to do with him, or indeed Melanie Phillips in this country. Nothing to do with her. A woman who has never, as far as I'm aware, ever answered any questions about certain mass murdering fascists who have quoted her. Bit problematic. So we'll just pretend these things don't exist. But you do get a lot of this stuff, okay, that right-wingers, because of the ease at which you can believe this stuff, do find themselves attracting certain types of people, shall we say. I know I often sort of say this about autism. You know, autistic people seem to be drawn towards the sense of dislocation in and around trans issues. They also seem to be drawn to the absolute definite scientific certainty that is, well, basically fascism. And of course, people like, well, certain commentators that I won't distinctly name, but you know certainly who you are, can't deal with that, because then that might suggest that, in fact, what they're doing is appealing to, well, bears with very little brain. Still, I'm sure he's just a lone wolf in the way that other people weren't who definitely were Muslim. So that's okay, isn't it? That's definitely okay then. Yeah, that'll be fine. There you go. We'll go with that one. Anyway, he's probably a member of Antifa. Yeah, probably. Probably. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Anyway, he's a bad man, whereas we're good men, so that's fine. That'll be good.